Genesis chapter 50, verse 22, the final stretch, the only part left, the death, concerning the death of Joseph. Verse 22, so Joseph remained in Egypt, he and his father's house. Joseph lived 110 years. So just a statement of a fact that they did not go back, they left, they stayed. Okay, because now they were accepted, all is good, and he lived 110 years. Less than, well, the others before him. But that's kind of the normal trend for people to live younger and younger, and to live shorter and shorter lives. Verse 23, and Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation, the children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were counted as Joseph's own. Right, the same. So he said. So his sons, grandsons, great-grandsons, and seemingly great-great-grandsons. And one of his other sons, not one of Manasseh's sons, Machir, was then, as Jacob said, you have other sons will be. Now in this case, not other of his sons that will count as his sons, but one of his grandsons, like Manasseh and Ephraim before, these sons, well, at least like they were grandsons and then accepted by Jacob, Israel, as sons, and the same Machir as a grandson of Joseph being accepted by Joseph, made by Joseph as one of his own sons. We don't know the reason for that, and we don't know if this is kind of implication, sort of as Joseph's son, so he kind of then counts as a tribe of Joseph, and the other two is the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, kind of, right? So it's like, because sometimes it speaks of the tribe of Joseph as I'm from Manasseh, but I don't think that is, we don't really find enough information concerning this. I think the more important part Moses is just trying to light out here, or to bring up, is the fact that Joseph did the same kind of thing that his father did. This is all legal, and so again, actually all of this points back to the fact that Ephraim and Manasseh therefore are legal. They're not legitimate children kind of Jacob, they're grandsons, but legitimate children of Jacob, because Jacob did it, accept him, or adopted him as his own, kind of. I think that is most likely what Joseph is, or Moses is then getting at, and why Joseph did this, or God allowed for Joseph to do this. Verse 24, and Joseph said to his brothers, I'm about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land, to the land that he swore to Abram, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So he understands he's dying. He would have been, we don't know the age of the other brothers, but they were older than him, but not that much older. So some of them might have been dead already. Some of them might have been, still alive, therefore. If some dead, some still alive. We don't know. It's not stated. He kind of seemed to imply that he said to his brothers. Now, does that mean he died younger than him because of all these sufferings he underwent throughout his life, and they longer lives, so he shorter than them because of the sufferings, prison and slaves and all of that kind of things, or too much good food as an Egyptian? We don't know. He spoke with brothers. It doesn't say it with all of his brothers. So some might have been dead, some is therefore still alive. So with them. But what he's doing as well is like kind of prophesying, saying that God will visit you. There was a prophecy made to Abram, but that prophecy said 400 years they will suffer, and it's sure Joseph would have known it's not 400 years yet. Okay? But he had this hope, he had this future dream, or hope, because his hope was based upon God's word, and that God will visit them, and God will bring them out. And when that happens, then they need to do the same, ultimately, what they did to his father. But he's going to say that still. But the reason why God will visit him is because God swore that he will do it. He swore that is my land, so I will give this to Abram. He swore to Abram, to Isaac, and to Jacob in the land, and so he will visit you and bring you out of that land. Verse 25, Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. Okay, so since God swore to them that he will give them the land, right, therefore that word counts as well to them. And so when they leave, they need to carry out his bones, as they ultimately did. Moses, they were carrying Joseph's bones right when they left Egypt. They kept their word. Yes, it's going to take 200 years or so more, maybe a little bit less than that even, for it to happen, but they're going to keep. And his hope of being buried in the promised land, it wasn't fulfilled in his life, understandably, because it was buried to be buried there. Now you can ask, like, why didn't he let him bury them then? Okay. Now I guess it might have been to do with his role in Egypt, and then the expectation of everyone to kind of that he ought to be now at least buried here. But then there is this last will, and I think more that could have played kind of part of a role. Maybe he thought that while his bones are here, they will be less, harsh on his siblings, kind of. Lots of things at play again here, which could have played through why ultimately he didn't go to be buried then and there. I think ultimately from his words that the bigger thing is that he didn't think it necessary to be buried then there, for the simple reason that he knew that God will lead them out. So being buried there now, or in 100 years' time when God visits them and lead them out, what's the difference? There's no big difference. And by being buried in, he was this proof of living hope that, he's dead, but it's living hope in the sense of the hope is still alive, that God will keep his word. So see, God will keep his, God said I will lead you out. So bury me here for now, it's fine, my bones can be here for now. But when you go there, take me there. Okay, so if he did not that hope, if that hope wasn't there for his family the whole time, they grew into a nation there in Egypt, then it would have been, okay, Joseph died here, his bones are still here, and he would just stay here. But now it's Joseph, yes, he died, and he was willing for his bones to stay here because he knew that God will keep his word and God will lead them out, and then they can, and he will be buried ultimately in the promised land. So see why it is important. A bit like we waiting for Jesus, right? It seems as if he's just not coming back, but every death, every Christian dying is actually not a sign of despair, but a sign of hope. That it's no problem that our bones are buried here on this planet, wherever they are buried on this planet, they will rise again. Like Joseph's bones will be taken back to the promised land to be buried. Like we will rise again, even though he's tarrying. But he promised, he said he will. He kept his promise there to Joseph, right? So Joseph was here as a dead man, a living hope. The same we have, Jesus' words. So it's not the end of the world to die and be buried on this planet, because he'll come back here. He promised, and he keeps his word. Verse 26, so Joseph died, being 110 years old. They embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. Okay, so 110 years old, he died, embalmed like his father, but the difference, his father was taken back immediately. He decided to stay. He decided to like I explained now from a previous verse, to be that living proof of God keeping his promise. I stay here, my bones stay here, but they won't stay here forever, because God said that you will be taken to the promised land. He will visit you, he will take you there. So when that happens, take my bones with. So as long as my bones here, it is proof that God hasn't visited you yet. But I trust God, and I know he will. He kept his promise. They took his bones. And that's what's seen in the next book. But we're not going to study the next book for now. We're going to move over to another book, but this time from the New Testament. Kind of the reasons why old new is, I will want to kind of continue in that way, is because people think there's a distance between the old and the new, and they have like nothing to do with each other. So for that reason as well, I'm like, as well now after this go on to the New Testament book, but for that later, or like give an explanation of that later. So what's left of this chapter? All that is left of this chapter is a conclusion, and then there is an ultimate conclusion that's still left for the book of Genesis itself.